In the last video, we finished up the A102 elevations drawing. We're going to go ahead and add another sheet to our sheet set for A103, the floor plan. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate down to the sheets category within my project browser. I'm going to select the minus sign next to A102 elevations just to collapse all the views that are on that sheet. And I'm going to right click on Sheets All and select New Sheet. We're going to make sure that we're utilizing the B11x17 horizontal. I'm going to select OK. And now, depending upon, in this case, mine come up as A104. That's just because I've practiced putting another sheet in before. But what we can do is if we right click on the name of it and select rename, I'll go ahead and change this to A103. If you need to do the same, you can do so. If it says A103, just leave it alone. So here we're going to go ahead and call this floor plan for A103. Select OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and move up to the floor plan, O1 floor. And you're going to see we have some stuff on here that we want to hide. So again, keep in mind that when we drag a view over, everything we see right here is going to be brought onto the sheet if we leave it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Properties palette and select Edit. And I do want to hide. I usually kind of pull this off to the side a little bit. Then that way I can kind of see what's there. I know the planting, if I press the P key on my keyboard, I can drop down to those categories that start with P. And I'm going to go ahead and uncheck the planting and click Apply. You'll notice all those will go away. And then we also need to do like furniture. So if I go to the F categories, furniture, we'll go ahead and hide all of that. And then you're going to notice that we also have the elevation markers. So I'm going to move to the annotations category, press the E key, and I'm going to uncheck elevations and hit apply. So the only thing, and if we want to see this, here's what the crop region shows, is just this right here. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So I'm actually going to hide that crop region. So just like how we did in the elevations, we can actually see that crop region. And so now you're going to see I do have some extra dimensions here. I'm actually going to get rid of these just to show how to place these. We've already placed the 12-foot and the 16-foot measurements. What we're going to do here is we're actually going to place, like for me, I've got one little room here that I'm using as a bathroom, and then I've got the rest of this being opened up for just some other space and everything like that. So I'm going to drag this open here a little bit. The only thing we're going to do is I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, and I'm going to choose the Align Dimension tool. And what I can do is I can go around and actually place, like here from the, and you'll notice in some of those cases, we can choose Prefer Wall Center Lines. I'm actually going to change this to Wall Faces up here, and I'm going to pick, like from this outside edge to the middle of this window, we can actually place what that looks like. Same thing, middle of the window to this corner, and I'm going to go ahead and line these dimensions up. So those are the types of things that we can go ahead and we can place. Same thing here for like the door. I can go ahead and place this. We usually place dimensions from the center of a lot of our openings to like the next reference, which is usually like the wall corner or the next window. So like here, if I want to keep going, I can actually just keep going and clicking here and placing all those dimensions right at one time. I don't have any openings on that north wall, so this is really going to take care of me. If I need to adjust, usually I like to pull these dimensions out just a little bit, so that way they're very clearly read, and that way that we can see those. So that's really what we have going on within our floor plan. The only one I might need to reference is this door here for the bathroom. So I'm actually going to go up and grab that align dimension from the quick access toolbar. I can also have it here as well. So I'm going to click from here to here, and then maybe to here, and I can actually place those dimensions inside there. So now you're going to notice some of these dimensions, you know, just kind of as they run together and everything, we can actually click and drag some of these. So like here on this one, I can actually place this one like this. I'm going to move this up just a little bit. And I can actually have it where the dimension's clearly read and I can see where the reference is a little bit better. It doesn't quite run together and it looks a lot better. All right, our next thing here is going to be, we're going to get the sizes of our rooms. Same thing with the annotation tab and aligned dimension. I'm just going to do this right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find out what's the width of this room and what is this direction. And then actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize the text tool. So I'm going to go up and grab it from the quick access toolbar. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a little text box here. We want to go ahead and put the width of this. So 7 foot 1 inch by we'll put 3 foot dash 9 and 1/2 inches. So that is kind of what we're going to go for, is we're going to place that room size. I'm going to get rid of these dimensions. I was just using that to kind of reference here. I'm going to go ahead and put these out, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop this inside of this room. So we're going to say that that is the room dimensions right there. Same thing, like for example, we could have a little area right here that we need to kind of, do the same thing. So I'm actually going to take a look at, again, going with an aligned dimension. I'll choose from this wall to the face of this wall. And then from here, we'll say to here, I can kind of see what that measurement is. Same kind of scenario, I can always use the text tool. So we are 3 foot, 8.5 inches by, and then 4 foot, 2 inches. Okay. So I'm going to cancel twice to get off of the text tool. And then I can kind of edit this text note here. And I like to have it kind of all on one line. You can also do a little scenario where you can rotate a little bit, and that might be our best case scenario, get this all to fit. So I'm actually going to delete those 2 dimensions, drag and drop into place, and that way we can kind of see that right there. Okay. And again, if we need to nudge this up a little bit, I'll kind of do that just to give enough room. All right, my main area, same process. So here we go. Text tool, 11 feet, 2 inches by 11 feet, 0 inches. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 dimensions. I'll go ahead and drag this in the middle of the floor plan. And that right there will give us kind of the sizes of the inside, but also the locations for our floor plan. Our last step before we finish out is going to be, before we start to put this onto the drawing, is we are going to go to the architecture tab, and we're going to do a room tag. So when I select the room, notice you'll see there's just the room option, or if you click the top part of this button, I can actually, anything that where you have bounded walls, so like right here inside of this room, you see it kind of stops. Here it kind of goes into the biggest part of where you see the little blue outline that kind of shows up. I'm going to place a room right here for right now because I actually want to section off this little area right here in a moment. So I'm going to go actually just click inside there. There's room number 1. And I'm going to go ahead and right click and say cancel. And then what you can do is you can actually double click on a room and then you can actually rename it. So there's the bathroom, and it actually gives the size of the bathroom there. This is kind of running into each other, so maybe what might happen is, let's go over to this view scale. You can either change it here in the properties, or you could go down here and select, let's go more of 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. You notice the text gets bigger, so let's go actually the opposite way. Let's do a 3/8 equals a foot for our view scale. And even then, like maybe even, 3/16 is just a little bit still too big. So let's go 3/8, and then I can go ahead and notice how I've got a little bit more room. And I can move my tag here. There's a little arrow. I'm going to keep the tag inside the room, and then I can go ahead and have the dimensions kind of being displayed in here too. All right, so same kind of thing. My dimensions, I can kind of pull those here just a little bit closer, and the same thing for kind of my position there. I might want to rotate this back around. We'll see how this looks once we start to get that in there. All right, so one thing you're going to see here is a room separator. If you ever want to separate rooms that don't have walls, that's what this tool is going to use. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to go ahead and pick on this corner, and I'm just going to draw straight across till I hit this other wall. So this is going to kind of give us like a natural separation. So now when I do my room tag, notice how it only stays inside this little square. So I'm going to go ahead and place that there. And we'll just go ahead and call this, I don't know, we'll call this hallway. Okay, about 15 square foot there. And then we can always kind of change. And again, the 1/8 inch text Arial, we can go 330 seconds. See if we can get this to fit a little bit better. This might work a little bit better, like this. Okay, and let's see if I can pull these dimensions in just a little closer. That actually doesn't look too bad. So those types of things you can always kind of do with being able to place into your drawing. All right, our last portion here is we're just going to go ahead now and do a room. I'm going to go ahead and place this. We will call this the living area. And again, you can always reposition this room tag as you need. Same thing with the text. And there we go. Now, one last thing that you can always do is like this room separator being here. If you don't want that to be, go ahead and just go over to visibility graphics. You'll notice that here, and if you go down to L, which is lines, hit the little plus sign. This actually shows you all the different lines that are in there. The one we want to do is a room separation. I'm going to uncheck that and hit apply. And notice how that line being gone now, because that's not, it does separate for our rooms, but we don't want to necessarily, have that on the drawing. Okay. Some of my dimensions, if you need to pull a little closer, you can, or readjust. But I'm going to go ahead and move back to my sheet. So I'm going to scroll down to my project browser, go to A103 floor plan. I'm going to scroll back up, and I'm just going to drag and drop this floor plan right here onto the page. And one thing we'll want to watch out for is, again, this view label's getting run into the border. So either one of two things. Either I can move this up, which I got a little bit of room up here and looks pretty good. I can do that. I can also move the view label just a little closer by itself. I have to make sure I don't have the view selected. So I can probably pull this down just a little bit. The other thing you could do, depending on the design, on how much room you have with dimensions and everything, you can select this. And then you can also, just make a few little adjustments as far as, what position and stuff like that you have. But everything looks pretty good to me, so I don't think I'm going to actually make any changes to this. So the only other option is you could do a rotation on sheet. So here it is over in the project browser, and I can do a 90-degree clockwise if I want to go like this, or I can go counterclockwise. So, and that can help with being able to see the drawing and see there. I kind of like there not being a rotation, but that's up to you. So just want to show you where these tools are. I'm going to place it right in the middle of the sheet, and that should finish us up for A103, the floor plan.